All right, so today I'm gonna do a meditation video, and this is really important. So don't skip through this one, okay? When you start meditating, if you're gonna learn meditation from me, do not skip this video, okay? And I'm gonna throw caution in the wind before we even start meditating. I'm not saying like we're gonna meditate this video, but just heed all the warnings I give you, okay? I've always said that when I do my meditation sessions, I want to go through Kant first. And I've given y'all, or I've put out enough Kant where we could kind of meditate on it now, when we could kind of understand when we constitute things, okay? My meditation is not just letting go, it's about constituting, okay? The physical presence and stuff like that. And that's a step different from other people who try to get you to meditate, okay? Other people, a lot of times, they'll just tell you that you should meditate and they don't give you no warnings. They think that it always helps you and stuff like that. I'm not that person, okay? I am. I want you to get the most out of it, right? You, it's a valuable tool if you use it right, but if you don't use it right, it could actually be disastrous, okay? And I'm gonna try to explain that later on in the video. But if you remember what I talked about Kant, you should at least watch Kant 4 before watching this video if you want to learn my path of meditation. And I would say it's superior compared to a lot of other meditations, okay? But what I want to say is this whole thing about Kant is I talk about space, time, and we got to consider these things that I talked about with Kant, right? Uh, Me doing those videos, you actually have you have some type of knowledge, or you kind of understand that the space that we're in is kind of like it's infinite, right? It just keeps on going, okay? The time could also keep on going, okay? And it's when it comes to spatiality, these things are of infinity, right? And also, when I talked about Kant, I said that this is this is the configuration of the world, the universe, right? We are part of this configuration, this infinity thing, okay? And I want to point out that this is that infinity thing. I always said that our experience is limited, but experience itself is something that is unlimited. There can always be an experience in the universe after us. So, in a way, it's limited, but when it's dealing with time, right, it is limited, but it could go on forever, okay? So, we're talking about infinite things and limited things, but these limited things have no limits besides the time aspect of it. Okay. Um Also, what I want to say is there's criticism on meditation. Because a lot a lot of times, or at least Friedrich Nietzsche, he believes that when you meditate, you're kind of like doing some type of escapism, right? You're escaping from the present moment. Okay. He describes it as kind of dealing with metaphysics, right? You kind of like you're hiding in the nook and cranny of your mind, okay? But I think when we take it from perhaps the Kant lecture, if you start with us as a configuration, I think the meditation that I'm proposing is actually more of a present. You're being present rather than escaping the present. Okay. Now, that's just the more philosophical stuff. And when we meditate, we're actually being in the moment in a way. And being in the moment, we are connecting to the infinite self, right? But you gotta remember that we're limited. So us in our times of meditation, or in our, you could say, peak of meditation, we are probably as big as we ever will be. Okay. And also what I want to say is um more caution. Okay. My like my lecture on meditation, this video, is a lot of caution into the wind. Okay. Because we gotta think about this. Okay. We gotta think about how we're gonna meditate, which is not what people think of meditation is. Okay. We are literally letting go of our ego and becoming something extraordinarily we're heading, you can say we're heading towards this unlimitedness. Okay, so we're kind of like being in a moment, like just when we stop our ego, we are extended far across. Okay, our egos would limit things. Okay, and the meditation that I'm proposing here, or what has been proposed, is a certain kind of meditation called Zen meditation, which is called, uh, in a way, Zen is a constant meditation, right? So, what I'm saying is that we've always been in a meditation, but Zen, Zen, I would say, has its ups and downs, right? Your moments of oneness are not completely a oneness or whatever, or your moments of uh, escapism. It's not completely moment of escapism, right? I'm gonna try to explain this a little better. Um, the hardest tradition of the Zen are really held by the Zen monks, and it's kind of crazy. You could go find a Zen monastery in Colorado, Denver, or other ones all around the world, but they're run by monks, right? These Zen monks. These people are not the people that you would think that they are. They're really intolerable of our imperfections, right? Uh, when you go sit in one of those Zen temples, they're gonna have like a little mini class, right? Obviously, a mini class. And with the mini class, they're gonna teach you how to be, uh, let's see, cordial, or be proper in conducting yourself in their spot, right? So you're supposed to walk straight and, you know, pick up a pillow and put it down on the floor, face exactly this direction, and everybody's supposed to be on point. They want everyone to be on point, right? It's a you're supposed to fit into this mold perfectly, right? And if you're not in that mold, they're gonna correct you. They're gonna give you a dirty look or whatever. uh, they're not like, oh, whatever, let whoever do whatever, right? They're not. The Zen people are. Those people are really serious about their meditation. Okay, but they don't give you the caution that I'm giving you. So I'm giving you a caution, like very caution, like um. I know I'm bouncing everywhere, but just stick with it, okay? So you go to a Zen temple and you kind of sit there, and then they'll ring a bell, right? And then you'll be meditating, they'll ring a bell, and then it's kind of over. It signifies a beginning and an end, and then you kind of get up and you take one step. Everyone takes one step at a time, another step at a time, another step at a time, in unison, right? You go back to your chair or whatever, and then you gotta like put all your stuff up. And if you don't put it up and stack it up everything properly, they're gonna get mad at you. You can tell they're mad. They won't, perhaps maybe not tell, but they're just like, they're snobs, okay? That's how I'm gonna put it. um but the Zen tradition is saying that when you leave the temple, you are actually in part of your meditation still, right? So when you're driving or wherever, going home, going to work, going to class, going out for the party or a drink or whatever, taking your kids to the park, going on a hike, that is actually part of the Zen tradition, right? So the Zen tradition does not say that you're meditating and your meditation ends. And that's the way I'm going to define Zen for you, okay? The Zen tradition does not end. You have to find it in a way, and then you never really get out of it, okay? So now my caution that other people are not going to say is I am very cautious telling people to meditate, because this is something that I've learned from my own experience that I feel like you should be cautious about, okay? When I started meditating, I pretty much learned in two places. One was actually the Denver Zen Center in Denver, Colorado. And back then they used to have a temple back on Spear Boulevard, right? It's in the Highlands. So a little bit west of Federal. And if you've been in that part of the city, looking from Spear, you can look through Spear Boulevard. You can see how it goes, the street Spear. It goes to the downtown, and then you'll see a river, right? You'll see the river, which is Cherry Creek, right? And Spear just follows all along Cherry Creek. You kind of see it. It's like a little it's like a little angle, or a little, just an angle or some type of pathway that you kind of see that it's been cut through the city, right? Spear Boulevard. So that being said, right? Another thing that I want us to be conscious about is the way things flow, okay? When you're sitting near that temple that's actually moved, it's not there no more, but the church is still there. They called it a monastery without walls, because your consciousness goes through the walls. But that's what they called. That was their slogan: monastery without walls. But I'm just saying. But sometimes, like, you park in the parking lot across from the church, and you just kind of look over the city, right? And you see the energy flowing. You can see Spirit Boulevard. You can just look at that little channel, this pathway that cuts across the city. And Denver people know what I'm talking about, but in every city I could be able to like tell you like in a way what this is similar to. And you kind of like see it when you get into meditation and look at these certain things. Okay. So the world is spinning in this axis, right? This is kind of random, but this has to do with the meditation. I would say, being serious about meditation, that whichever way that you face is going to change the meditation that you have. Okay. Me personally, I want people to go in a harder route or just to challenge themselves. And I always felt that being present when you're meditating, if you're facing west, right? West to me is this way. But if you're facing west, right, you're going against the Earth's axis tilt, right? You're going against the tilt and you're just kind of like, the world is just kind of going through you, right? And you try to like reach forward ahead of you, okay? But if I'm facing east, like I am now, like if you were up on Spear Boulevard, looking down through Spear from the highlands, you just kind of let it go and it'll just kind of like go on its own, right? So that's something to consider, right? Uh, North, south, east, west is like, there's just certain things, about the directions. They say the north is the direction of kings, right? You go to a lot of Christian Catholic churches, like Notre Dame is shaped like a church, a cross, right? And the cross is always uh, laid one way, north, south, east, west, right? So that actually, you should consider that. Okay. So I'm going to end this video, but I'm going to talk about the most important thing and why I'm throwing caution into this. Okay. So you got to remember that the Zen tradition is something that's constant, right? But you got to pay attention to this, okay? I remember when I was leaving the meditations, and even when I do it now, which I pretty much never meditate, but I feel like the way my mind is, the focus of my mind, I don't need that much time meditating, right? Like I think about meditating a lot, perhaps, or I'm like almost meditating a lot. There's only very specific times that I feel like I was meditating. Like the last couple years, the last 10, 20 years, when I was learning, I might have meditated for about roughly an hour, and I was through like a couple sittings. I remember meditating just a little bit during the pandemic, and I meditated twice during funerals, right? My dad's funeral and my uncle's funeral and my grandma's funeral. Those three, other than that, were the 3 times that I was meditating. But besides me learning, and those are all within 2 hours of like real meditation, because like you got to be serious about meditation. You can't just think that you're meditating all the time. Okay, be very careful, and I'm about to explain why you should be careful. So I remember when I would leave the temple, or the one on Spear, and I would start driving. So in a way, your mind, and this is like me learning, right? Like and I felt like in a way I was making mistakes. But when you open your mind and place yourself across the universe, right? And then the meditation's over, to hit the thing, and you hear a ding, and you're kind of like coming back. You're coming back to yourself. Your ego is coming back to yourself, right? And then you're just this person again when you don't really consider the true Zen self that you're always meditating. You feel like you're done meditating, right? You get in your car. So, in a way, you know where you're going, right? You know where you're going and you're driving, but then you see these cars zipping right through you. Zip, zip. And you're like, holy crap, this car almost hit me. So, in a way, like your mind, you know where you're going, but your body is following your mind. But you got to remember that your body was just across the universe and everything's coming back together, right? So, there's a lot of things that could happen in between the edges of the universe, the edges of your universe, and where you're at now and you're driving. There's a lot of things that could happen, okay? Just a ton of things. And I think the more powerful your mind is, the more caution you should take, okay? When you're meditating. Okay, so me, like I pretty much don't meditate no more. I could teach it though. And the way I'm teaching it is I start with a lot of caution, obviously. Because I believe I have a powerful mind. Okay. If you don't have a powerful mind, I don't think it's as dangerous. But if you have a powerful mind, I believe you should be very careful with this. As I am, I pretty much never meditate. I meditated during the pandemic, a couple of funerals, and a couple of times when I was learning how to meditate. Uh, Maybe like just I remember for a second in the Eastern philosophy class, but I didn't really do it. I did it for 1 second, or just allow myself like 10, 15 seconds to do it. But that's just how rare it is for me to meditate because I'm so cautious about it. But then I ask people to meditate for me. Like it's not like, because like I don't know, I'm too serious with it. And other people are like, I am teaching this, so maybe y'all can meditate for me, okay? Uh, and then maybe I'll join in. But as of now, I don't see myself joining in. I'll actually lead the meditation session, and I'll be on the very point of meditation when you consider it, you know, full uh, blown meditation, if we could ever get there, right? But I'll leave that. We'll talk about that later. Um, a lot of problems could happen between the edges of the universe and you coming back, right? You're being from one moment out there and everything coming back to you. There's just a lot of things that need to be sorted out, okay? When you're meditating, when you're meditating, uh, you gotta look at it that you're kind of placing things everywhere, right? And you kind of just want it to kind of like come together on its own, right? But if you don't keep your mind extended, it's just gonna come on its own by itself, right? And a lot of mistakes, a lot of accidents, literally accidents, could happen if you don't keep your mind extended to give it enough time to come together, perhaps the way you want, right? A lot of times when I meditate, or when I'm like almost meditating, I'm just actually spreading everything apart to give things room to grow on it or come together on its own. That's all I'm doing. I'm not even meditating like to the degree that people say meditation is. I'm not doing that. I'm 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 extending it and I'm holding it all out there. Okay. And then I go to work with my mind just still on it or whatever. Go do whatever I'm doing, right? Everything just let things, be conscious of it and let it come together. But if you forget that you put yourself out there, I think a lot of things are going to come back together and you're going to have a lot of problems. I believe that I had a string of bad luck because I did not really notice what I was doing, right? I think I had 7 years of bad luck. I think it's over. Well, so I've actually switched up my meditation and to be more safe, right? I feel like I've did enough of my extension that when I meditate, um, I'm only focusing on what's kind of like near me. I'm giving room. I'm placing gaps rather than placing presence in certain places now, and then letting the things come together where the gaps are. Okay, so it's like an internal. So a lot of people always say, like between most meditators, they're gonna tell you, being in the moment. But I'm specifically uh saying, because we've did some Kant series lectures, that there's the extension and then there's the internal. I am throwing caution on the extension part, okay? And only the most powerful people should do the extension part, and you should focus on the internal part, right? The spatial, uh, letting things come together, you know, by spreading things apart, right? But then again, I think that when I was meditating way back then, I really like my focus was just being as large as I can, and that is a problem. Okay, and that's what I want to tell y'all. Okay, so that's all I want to say for this video. Next video, we're gonna actually get closer. We're gonna talk about postures, I think, and breathing. Okay, we're gonna breathe together. Okay, next video. Okay, hope you enjoy it. Watch for the next video.